Welcome, everyone. My name is Ron Cristaldi. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Shoemaker, Loop & Kendrick, and I have the pleasure of chairing the City Council-created Citizens Advisory Committee on the economic impact of cultural assets. That committee is your host here today. I'd like first to ask the committee members to please stand up and be recognized, and I'd specifically like to recognize our committee member, Stephen Benson, for all of his hard work. I'd like to thank Centro Asturiano for hosting us here today. This cultural asset is a wonderful place for us to have this dialogue and discussion. I'd like to thank the Columbia for providing refreshments. I was trying to watch my weight, but I have a feeling I'm going to leave here today a few pounds heavier. And I'd like to introduce you to Councilwoman Yoli Capine, who is going to give a background and overview of our Cultural Affairs Committee and the summit here today, which will be moderated by esteemed St. Petersburg Times, or Tampa Bay Times, excuse me, I'm still a little bit old on it, columnist Ernest Hooper, my friend, and we're going to hear a few words from our wonderful mayor, Mayor Buckhorn. Most of you know Councilwoman Capine, but for any of you who don't, Councilwoman Capine is a fourth-generation Tampian. She is currently serves on City Council representing District 3. She sits on the Public Transportation Commission, the Arts Council of Hillsborough County, the Government's Council, and the Streetcar Board. Most importantly, for our purposes here today, she is the inspiration for the creation of our committee and for the summit here today. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Councilwoman Yoli Capine.
I can make it. Yes, I'm going to talk to you about our committee, and I will start with cultural assets are an indirect engine which have a very direct economic impact. It was a year ago, as a result of a workshop on the effects of cultural assets on the economy, that City Council passed a resolution forming the first Citizens Advisory Committee on Cultural Assets as an Economic Engine. It is a 15-member Citizens Advisory Committee composed of representatives from business, neighborhood, and government. These leaders are charged with how to best leverage these cultural assets that make up the fiber of our city and determine how best to obtain the maximum economic gain from these assets, and then issue a semi-annual report to City Council and recommend legislation on how to best leverage our cultural assets to attract new business and grow existing ones. Our first report to City Council took place last March, and the Citizens Advisory Committee recommended to amend the event permitting ordinance, and City Council approved. The result was that the street closure permitting process was shortened by 30 days. In addition, the Cultural Assets Committee took a first step in branding our unique our unique culinary traditions by recommending a resolution proclaiming the Tampa Historic Cuban Sandwich as Tampa's signature sandwich. City Council accepted this recommendation and a resolution was passed. Businesses and investors looking to relocate look to an area that provides a variety of cultural opportunities. The Cultural Assets Economic Engine, CAC's next report to City Council is scheduled for October 25th, and you're all invited to come. Tampa's tagline could be, know and own what you have, then package it and market it. Thank you. And with that, I'm going to introduce someone that really doesn't need an introduction, but I will anyway. It is with honor and pleasure that our Mayor Buckhorn, who has so many accomplishments that I couldn't even, in this very short time as mayor here in our city, moved our city forward and keeps moving forward. And I just want to say what a pleasure it is working with you on the council. Thank you for being here. I'm going to move this so I can get by.
It's only appropriate that we are gathered here in Ybor City as I drink my café con leche to talk about what Councilmember Capeen has been so forceful and so articulate and so energized about. And Yoli, thank you for undertaking this. It was through her initiative, it was through her energy, it was through her perseverance that we are all gathered here today. And she was absolutely right on day one to point out that these were economic engines that really had not been recognized in their totality. I mean, each of these individual groups, and I see many of you representing many different cultural arts entities out here and some economic engines, sometimes we get siloed off and we do our own thing, not realizing that there's a larger issue out there and not understanding how we are all linked and how we are all tied together and what tremendous assets that we can be as Tampa moves to its next iteration. And I will tell you, I don't know about you, but there is an electricity about this city that we haven't felt in probably 15 years. And it has a lot to do with all of you in this room today. Each in your individual ways, you are making a very, very distinct contribution to the greater good. And when the world watched us 3 weeks ago, what did they see? They saw a city that has never looked better. They saw a city that was able to juggle a hurricane and the second most viewed television event in the entire world and do it seamlessly, do it flawlessly, do it in a form and a fashion that I think spoke volumes about who we are, but more importantly, where it is that we're going. There's an excitement about Tampa. There is an energy about Tampa. And part of it is because we look like America, and we are as diverse as America. And those folks that watched us 3 weeks ago got to go to West Tampa for Ropa Vieja, got to come to Ybor City for Café con Leche, got to spend time at the Italian Club and the Cuban Club and Centro Asturiano and Martín Maceo. They got to see everything that was good about this community that makes us stronger, that makes us better, that makes us more competitive. And I can tell you, when we are out trying to recruit companies to come here, one of the things that makes this community stand out is the diversity of the economic opportunities and the understanding that we are all in this together. Look around these tables. I mean, look at what we represent and what these organizations represent. Not just the traditional economic development organizations, but Ybor City. Look at what Dave Scott has done with YCDC investment that he's making. Look at how downtown has come alive. Look at how Curtis Sixon Park has brought 500,000 people in the last year, 3 times more than the year before. Look at the interest in a new museum for the American arts and crafts movement. Look at the success of the Tampa Art Museum. And look at, gosh, I was at the Children's Museum on Saturday with my 2 kids, and who was standing there next to me is the incoming Speaker of the House, Will Weatherford, with his 2 little girls. I mean, look at what downtown has become. We are now realizing the hopes and the aspirations that we all knew this city contained. And we're going to get there. And part of it is remaining focused, part of it is being organized, part of it is being disciplined, part of it is recognizing that we are all in this together, that we all have to work together, that the days of us being siloed based on Democrat or Republican, city versus county, rural versus urban, Pinellas versus Hillsborough are over. Are over. We are stronger together. And so let's not miss this window, because we're never going to get this chance again. We have new leadership, both on the elected side and on the appointed side. We have a new focus. We are all working together for that common goal. And I will tell you unequivocally, I am not willing to settle for second best. We are going to get there. We are going to be that city that we know we can be. And it's largely going to be because of the economic engines that are here and the value of our cultural assets and the fact that we celebrate our diversity as a strength, which makes us unique in America. We're going to get there. Don't lose sight. Don't fall back on bad habits. No more bickering. No more fighting over the crumbs. Understand that if one succeeds, all succeed. And that more is better. And to stop the parochial, what's mine is mine and what's yours is mine. And start thinking about, if we do more, we're going to generate more critical mass. And if we generate more critical mass, there's going to be more people coming down to enjoy our cultural assets. Let's get it done. This is our turn. This is our time. Yoli, thank you for help priming that economic pump, and thank all of you for being willing here and to put the differences aside and to put the agendas aside and to focus on what the greater good is, and that is getting us all to that next level and to that promised land. Because I'm not losing my kids to Charlotte, North Carolina. Period. All right? Thanks. Amen, Brother Hooper.
Amen. Amen, Brother Buckhorn. All right. We're ready to move right along. It's a pleasure to be here this afternoon. And we have a very interesting program for you. We're going to introduce our asset marketing partners who are sitting here in front of you today. They'll be talking about the different aspects that they bring to this discussion, focusing on collaboration and support, their marketing needs, and how we can help the smaller institutions. Each of them will give a 3 to 5 minute presentation. I've been given permission by City Councilwoman Capeen to run up behind you and tap you on the head if you go longer than 5 minutes. I don't want to have to do that. For those of you in the audience, you will find in your packet index cards. Those are index cards where you can write down questions or write down feedback or information. They'll be collected at the end of the event, and they will be used in putting together the report for the City Council. After our presentation from our asset marketing partners, we'll have a Q&A session. As you can see, there is a microphone for those of you in the audience to step up and ask questions. That'll run about 30 minutes, and we'll close out the discussion with roundtable discussions. Each of our asset partners will be at one of the circular tables. You are welcome to sit down at one of those tables or move from table to table and ask more questions and continue the dialogue. So, to get started, let me introduce our asset marketing partners. To my far right, we have from the Tampa Bay Partnership, Betty Carlin. Next to her, we have Jennifer McCoskey from the Tampa Hillsborough Economic Development Corporation. We also have next to her from Tampa International Airport, Justin Meyer. Next to Justin, we have John Thorington from the Tampa Port Authority. Sitting next to John, we have Barbara Casey from the Tampa Sports Authority. And to my left, we have Bob Rohrlach. Bob is wearing two hats today. He is representing the Greater Tampa Chamber of Commerce, of course, and he's also representing the Tampa Hillsborough International Protocol Office. Next to Bob, we have Christine Burdick from the Downtown Partnership. And here on the end, we have Kelly Miller from Tampa Bay and Company. Round of applause for all of our asset marketing partners. All right, why don't we start to the far right with Betty. And Betty, 3 to 5 minutes. And then we'll just go from right to left. Okay? Yes, we'd like you to come to the podium. If I step behind you, then. Yeah.
Good afternoon. This is quite the group, and it's really it's really amazing to be here with all of these people that are focused around celebrating our cultural assets. And the Tampa Bay Partnership, we're just very pleased to be part of the discussion. Just for reference, the Tampa Bay Partnership is a regional economic development organization that represents the 8 counties of Tampa Bay, from Citrus County all the way down to Sarasota, and from Pinellas all the way over to Polk County. That's a region that includes not only the 8 counties, but it's 6,500 square miles. It's 4.2 million residents. It's 1.9 million labor force. And we're also the 14th largest media market in the world, or in the United States, excuse me. But with that in mind, the partnership, to kind of reiterate what the mayor was saying, that the partnership really has emulated that stronger together philosophy for the past 18 years. And what we've done is work together to bring all these different groups who all have similar shared goals and act as a regional convener to bring everyone to the table to say, how can we, by working together, accomplish these bigger, bolder goals? As an organization, our focus is primarily around business, economic development, attraction and retention of business. As part of that, we last year launched our regional business plan for Tampa Bay, and this is a long-term effort focused around key industries that were identified through an extensive research project done by SRI International that identified 4 targeted industries that have the highest potential for high growth, high wage jobs. And these are the ones that we really want to focus on. They are applied medicine and human performance, business data and financial services, high-tech electronics and instruments, and marine and environmental activities. And then surrounding that, we also have foundational activities that we're looking at to say, how can we make sure we have the right foundation that these industries will thrive? And on the other side, we have workforce, because we have to make sure that we have the right workforce to support those industries with the right skill sets. And as far as cultural assets are concerned, that's really where I see the partnership fitting in, because the cultural assets are what helps us not only attract and retain those companies within our region, but it's attracting and retaining the right workforce. And for us to be able to tell that story on a regional basis, not just within the city of Tampa, but when we collectively take all of these assets from the 8 counties, it really is impressive. So from that standpoint, I'll conclude my remarks, sort of smacked on the back of the head, and I look forward to the discussion.
Thank you, Betty.
Good afternoon, everyone. Jennifer McCoskey with the Tampa Hillsborough Economic Development Corporation. We are the lead economic development agency for Hillsborough County, also representing the cities of Tampa, Plant City, and Temple Terrace. Similar to what Betty was saying about the Tampa Bay Partnership, we are responsible for driving job creation and capital investment in Hillsborough County, and we do that by trying to attract companies who are interested in expanding or relocating in our county, or helping businesses who are already here expand and grow. On a personal note, I am not from Tampa. I've been here for almost 3 years now, and this is a subject that I am incredibly passionate about. I think that this is an amazing community, and we have got some of the most unrecognized and unbelievable assets here, and so it's a real privilege for me to have the position that I do as Director of Marketing and Communications, to be able to share this message with people outside of our community. Our organization, we work to bring these jobs and businesses into the community through recruitment, through business retention and expansion, and through marketing. From the recruitment side, we go out and really do a lot of direct marketing. Our audience as CEOs, C-level executives, site selection consultants, these are people who make corporate real estate decisions for companies to help them decide where to relocate. And we're also working with commercial real estate brokers. These people can tend to be very focused on the cost of doing business, the business climate, the assets that we have in the community from a real estate standpoint. But one of the things that they're also very concerned with is the quality of our workforce. And that's where the cultural assets that we have in our community really come into play, because we don't have the ability to maintain a steady supply of talented, creative, young workers if we don't have the type of community that will attract them and keep them in this area. So when we talk about Tampa, when we talk about Hillsborough County, we really try to differentiate ourselves as a community that offers something that none others do. We talk about our museums, we talk about our sports teams, we talk about our natural assets. But one of the things that I think is most important and really sets us apart is the rich history we have in this area. We are actually in the process right now, it's an exciting time for the EDC, we are completely revamping all of our marketing tools. We're launching a new website at the end of the month. We're producing new collateral material. We're launching an entire marketing campaign around the idea of think big, we do, because that's what our community is. We are visionary, we're leaders, and we want people to come here and think about what they can become, and the people who are already here to dream big about what we can bring into our area. Quality of life is a big component of that marketing. One of the things that we actually say in these marketing materials is that our community is a dynamic convergence of past and progress, which really sums up how we have this deep, rich history, an incredible culture, but at the same time, we're modern and we're vibrant and we're urban, and we offer every single asset and amenity that any other top 20 market in this country does, and we're going to be more warm and more welcoming and more authentic than anyone else. Again, it's a real privilege to be here today, and we look forward to talking to you about all of this, going into more detail, and please feel free to ask any questions you might have.
Good afternoon, everyone. Justin Meyer with the Tampa International Airport, perhaps one of the newest residents to Tampa in the room, just relocated from the lovely town of Kansas City, Missouri, earlier this summer. I left Kansas City, which was a place where everyone in my neighborhood looked just like me, and now I'm in Tampa Bay, fully embracing the culture that exists here. My neighbors to my right and my left look nothing like me and have life stories that are completely different than mine. The Caribbean islands, actually both of them from the southern islands, and just a real neat place for me to be excited about raising kids, having grown up in Northern Virginia just outside Washington, D.C., where I was going to school with Pakistanis and kids that were sons and daughters of ambassadors from countries all over the United States, to feel like I'm back in a place where my children are going to have a very similar experience. But let me tell you a little bit about the airport. We've got a great airport here, and in fact, it's the best airport I've ever worked for, right? We currently have the opportunity to serve about 17 million passengers a year. We have 72 nonstop destinations served by our airline partners, 10 of which are international. 3 of those 10 are new in the last year. So we've got some new victories, and really, as we're looking to expand the cultural reach, definitely growing in those areas. When it comes to marketing, the airport markets differently than a lot of these organizations. In fact, myself as an air service development professional, I'm marketing to things that have wings and propellers and jet engines and wheels and cockpits and hundreds of seats in the back, right? I'm working to market to airlines. I'm working with the airlines that currently serve Tampa International Airport, trying to get them to increase capacity, helping them to understand the story. 10, 15, 20 years ago, back when I was a little kid, you're all thinking it, right? The airlines had their own experts on destinations, and they had a guy at American Airlines that could go and talk to the planning staff and say, let me tell you what's going on in the Tampa Bay region. And that person might have covered Sarasota, Fort Myers, they might have covered Orlando, they would have talked about Gainesville, they would have talked about Tallahassee. They had people that knew what the markets are and what's going on. Those people aren't employed by airlines anymore. Those people are employed by airports, and the airports have their own content experts. So it's on me now to tell the story of Tampa to the airlines and get them to understand what's happening here and the progression that we're making as a community, and get them to add more flights, new destinations, bigger airplanes, more frequencies, that kind of thing. When it comes to marketing, we're using all sorts of data sets. We're talking about census data. We're talking about data we get from our great partners in terms of business development and growth. We're talking about tourism trends. Everybody hopefully read that clip in the paper today about the unbelievable August that we had here, where I think we saw over on the Pinellas side, I think it was a 22% increase in tourism tax collection, August over August. Unbelievable, right? It's those kind of data points that we're making sure all of our airline partners and prospective airline partners are well aware of. But when it comes to the true cultural heritage of this market, we're really leaning on our partners and some of your organizations to help tell that story. In fact, just last week I was on the other side of the world talking to a German airline. We're pretty clear on what our goals are, right? We're trying to get nonstop service to Germany. That's a target. We're trying to increase our capacity to Central America, South America, Brazil specifically. We're looking to increase or gain new nonstop service to Mexico City. We're also working to increase our capacity to the Pacific Northwest as well as the West Coast of the United States. Those are opportunities for us, and we're working to find the right partners there. But as we're looking to customize each of those stories, we are leaning heavily on our partners and some of your organizations to help us understand the story and what's new. It was a thrill to meet with Lufthansa and to be able to push across news clippings from the new German chamber, which just opened, and say, look, let me tell you about German business in Tampa Bay. Look how things are changing. I had a meeting with a Caribbean airline that I was able to lean upon Roxanne Bartley and the Tampa Caribbean organization and say, look, I don't know this, but you do. Help me tell this story. Help me find the bullet points that we can make business happen, and help me understand the best ways to connect you with these airlines to guarantee their success. Really looking forward to the questions that may be coming later, and thank you so much for the opportunity.
Well, hello, I'm John Thorington with the Tampa Port Authority, and I thank you so much for asking me to be here today, Councilwoman Capeen. This is a great turnout and a great event, and it's my honor to represent the Tampa Port Authority and the Port of Tampa today. The Port of Tampa has a rich history, and it's inextricably linked to the history of our city. The origins of the port go back to the shipment of cattle to Cuba in the mid-1800s, and in the 1880s, phosphate was discovered about 30 miles east of here. Phosphate's a main ingredient in the production of fertilizer, and that's when the port really began to take off. In 1898, Teddy Roosevelt sailed from old Port Tampa to Cuba as part of the Spanish-American War. So a lot of rich history with the port, Teddy Roosevelt during that time. And of course, during World War II, the Port of Tampa was the site of two major shipyards that were building ships for the U.S. war effort. Thousands and thousands and thousands of people were employed in these two shipyards during World War II. For 100 years after phosphate was discovered, the shipments of phosphate and fertilizer were the mainstay and the backbone of the Port of Tampa, and still are very important today. But no longer is phosphate the largest cargo that we move through the port. It's actually the largest cargo segment today is petroleum and petroleum products. We are the energy gateway for West Central Florida. All the gasoline for our part of the state comes through our port. All the jet fuel for the major airports in the region, including, of course, Tampa International, comes through the port. Whereas Tampa was once known primarily as a phosphate port, today it's one of the most diversified ports in the country, and it has an emerging container business, strong cruise ship activity, and the largest ship repair facilities between Norfolk, Virginia, and Pascagoula, Mississippi. We're the largest economic engine in the region. We impact in some fashion, direct, indirect, induced, or other related ways, almost 100,000 jobs here, and we have an economic impact of about $8 billion a year. The port is an international gateway, as I think we all know, and we have business relationships with companies all over the world. Our largest trading partners are India, Mexico, Brazil, Trinidad, Canada, Russia, Australia, Japan, Argentina, and Turkey. The development of our container business is particularly exciting for our future, and we have strong business relationships with the ports of Houston and Mobile, actually marketing together for the ships to come into the Gulf of Mexico, and we can serve 1/3 of the U.S. population through those three ports, and they really don't compete. They're serving separate markets. It's a neat business partnership. The expansion of the Panama Canal, which is currently underway, will have major impacts, or significant impacts, once it opens in a couple of years. And all that we do depends on the business partnerships we have with these local agencies, all of whom, everyone here, we work very closely with. And I've known many of these folks for a number of years, some more recent. It's a great team here. One area where our local cultural assets are on display is to our visiting cruise passengers. Tampa is the 6th largest cruise port in the United States, and this year we'll handle over 950,000 cruise passengers. A number of them will fly through our great airport, and we have a vibrant community here to support them, many amenities, many attractions. Some of the great merits of our area are highlighted in a brochure that we did jointly with Tampa Bay and Company a couple of years ago. It's very nice. It highlights University of Tampa, Ybor City, the History Center, the aquarium, Busch Gardens, the Performing Arts Center, on and on. And it's really what we do, and that's a way to expose our cruise passengers to some of the great things that we have here in our area. I'd just like to close by mentioning that in addition to the major capital investment being made in port infrastructure, Port Authority recently dedicated a new rail terminal in the port that was built in a public-private partnership that will tremendously enhance rail capacity in and out of the port. We're very excited about that. And of course, the I-4 Selman Expressway connector will be completed at the end of 2013, and that will remove thousands of trucks from surface roads through the heart of Ybor City. And this will have a direct, an exclusive truck lane that will drop right into the port. Trucks can actually leave the Port of Tampa and theoretically go all the way to the Canadian border without hitting a stoplight. Great, great project, both of them, enhancing the connections in and out of the port to go with the infrastructure improvements being made in the port. We're very excited about these developments, and they really position us for great long-term development and expansion in the years to come. So thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Barbara Casey. I know a lot of you here in the room. I'm with the Tampa Sports Authority, and I'd love to say that we have the richness to bring that all of these people who've spoken so far and those who are yet to speak to the table. But we aren't working directly with CEOs, or we're not bringing cattle. We are bringing to make Justin feel a little more comfortable. Anybody might be coming to a Kansas City game this weekend. We thought we'd make you feel really good. That's good for Justin. He's learned quickly. I've been around here for a long time doing sports, but before that and before Kelly came, I worked for 12 years at the Convention Bureau. And whether it was THCVA, whether it was Chamber of Commerce, Convention Bureau, or Tampa Bay and Company, I quickly learned the importance of culture. We had a couple Super Bowls here, 4 since I've been here. Linda, all of you that I've worked with on those, John, many of you know how much time these people have in our city and things that they're looking for. Yes, we have football, and we have diversity. The mayor was talking about the importance of diversity. We have college, we have pros, but we also have Monster Jam. As Rick Naif likes to say, we make all the streets safe on that day, because all the people having another kind of fun are in our building at that time. We have diversity. They're drinking beer, they're drinking wine. But all of that drinking causes them to go to the bathroom, and why would I mention that? But what we'd like to do is capitalize. When the husband and wife come up and go to the restroom, you know, the women, we always have longer lines. The men stand at the guest services booths, and we take, and I'm not saying this whether Kelly was here or not, our membership in the Bureau has a benefit in that we take the destination guides and we put them at the booths, so that when people are standing there and the husband's waiting and waiting and he can say, well, what else can I do here in Tampa? We whip up the book and we have all of the information that many of you have there in the book. And we're able to talk about that type of cultural diversity. Now, it may not be the kind of business that you all bring, but CEOs are there, and the people who work with you, when they come in to visit and to be wined and dined for economic development, they come to sporting events, and they're looking for other things to do during that time. So I think that the Tampa Sports Authority plays a big part in spreading the diversity. I'm in charge of the guest services booth, so I make sure they talk about it. And anything else that you all can think that we can do, I'd love to do it. But thank you. Thank you.
I'm Bob Rorlach with the Greater Tampa Chamber of Commerce, and I got to tell you, Barbara, the monster truck rallies they have, I have a bad taste in my mouth for those. My wife's boss didn't come to our wedding because he was hosting people at the monster truck, so it's just, okay, fine. But if the way to look at the chamber, the way we see our role in the community, along with all the other chambers, and there are a lot in Tampa and Hillsborough County. It's our job to take this product of Tampa and Hillsborough County and make it better. And how do we do that? We work to serve our members and enhance our community by building business success. If a business is successful, they can support the community more. They can support the arts. They can support things that are going on. And I'll be honest, as chamber guy, when I go to events at the museums or the Performing Arts Center, I look and see who the donors are. And I'm counting board members and, gee, why aren't they helping in ways to get involved? So it's that interconnection that makes our community strong. I grew up in a suburb of Orlando, and my career almost 30 years ago really started here, and I've been back and forth in Tampa and glad to be back. And people say, well, why do you like Tampa so much? I said, Tampa has flavor. And that's what I like about Tampa. And I'm not going to be critical of the sister city down I-4. They don't. We do. And it's places like this. You know, during the RNC, there were events hosted here to educate the community about the importance of international. And there were some big players that came in to that event, not just the convention, before the different events. They can get that here, and that's what makes us a unique market. And it's how do we continue to work on it. I agree completely with the mayor. Everything is hitting right. Everybody's looking at things the right way. And so how do we get better? It's not a matter of, oh, that's theirs, that's not ours. It's how do we all add to it to make it better? And that's the question I ask our elected officials most often is, what can we do? How do we help? What do we need to be doing? There's always more. There's always more hands on deck that are needed. But it's how do we work to get things done? Because we have the name Chamber of Commerce, a lot of people will go Tampa Chamber or Chamber of Commerce in Tampa, and we all come up, Tom, and they check and see what we all are doing. We make sure that we're telling the best story on Tampa that we can, Tampa and Hillsborough County. We are in the process of getting the approval for the budget for next year so we can revamp our website and enhance it and make it even stronger. But it's making sure the people who've been here before, they're trying to remember that place that they ate at last time, but they can't remember. Maybe I can find it, that they can find it working through our website. Or what kind of places do they have that I can go see for plays or for shows that they can find on our website. About a week or so after the new museum opened downtown in Curtis Hickson Park, I was leaving downtown after sundown, and I stopped at a traffic light on Ashley, and the lights were on the minarets at UT, and I just stopped and looked at it. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful night out, and just looked at it. And all of a sudden I realized the color of the lights just changed on the art museum. So I literally sat through a green light so I could just watch that. Fortunately, there was nobody behind me. But that's Tampa. That's who we are. And that uniqueness is what makes us special. And we know we've got that responsibility to put that foot forward at the chamber. And so we do it on our website. We do a location guide. Everybody does guides that has membership information as well as an overview of the community that we make available that not only to people who are new or coming into town, but we want our board members to have it, and they're making it available. And when they have new hires coming into town, that they're using that as a help intro into the market, and people are realizing, well, gosh, I'm not going to just learn about this place by going out one weekend. It's going to take me going out a lot of weekends to see what's going on here. We think that's good. That's a wonderful part of our community. And we want to continue to enhance that and see what we can do. And I told Ernest, since I was up here, I was going to go ahead and talk about the International Protocol Office. Back originally in 2001 and then enhanced in 2004, the city and the county, the port, the airport, University of Tampa, University of South Florida, and Tampa Bay and Company all got together and said, we need to be doing more on the international scene when visitors come in, when dignitaries and important people come into town. And we all worked together, came up with an agreement. The protocol office is housed in the chamber. With the support of all the organizations, we would handle those dignitaries coming in. Now, here we are, 2012. We just had a lot of dignitaries in town. I can't believe it's only been 3 weeks ago. It feels like a lot longer already for RNC. But we want to take the next evolutionary step with what we do in international protocol and trade, helping local companies get out of here and expand their product. So we're revamping the whole protocol process and how we do it. So we can be aggressive and focused and put our best foot forward with what's going on, so we can support these organizations that are here, we can support our government and what's going on, and just make sure that not only people who are traveling from Chicago or California like what they see here, but those traveling from all over the world like what they see here. And we think that's very important because we want them going back and telling a good story. You know, I think it's over 50 countries that are represented in the international coalition that are at MacDill Air Force Base. We want them to go back and be ambassadors. We know they travel in good circles back home. So we want to make sure they see and know the right things, and we talk to them a lot about what's going on. So we hit a lot of different aspects that I could be a lot longer than the time I'm allowed to talk about what we do at the Chamber. But just remember that at the Chamber, we want to see the product get better so we all can be more successful and have a better community. And that's how we look at this market. Thank you.
Thanks. I'm Christine Burdick, and I'm with the Tampa Downtown Partnership. The partnership is a almost 27-year-old organization that was formed in order to provide the stewardship. We are like the property manager of downtown. We are the housekeeper for our city's living room. We operate by encouraging partnerships, both private and public-private, in order to foster physical and economic development, cultural development, educational development. We have a lot to work with. I think downtown and the area surrounding it, the community surrounding it, I can do around the clock. Seminole Heights, Tampa Heights, the soon coming the Encore area, Ybor City, Palmetto Beach, Harbor Island, Davis Island, Hyde Park, are all in-town neighborhoods. And in that area, you can find concentrated more cultural institutions of all definition than exist anywhere else on the west coast of Florida. So we are the historical, and we are the historic and historical and cultural in all definitions hub of the whole west side of the state. And so we get to share that opportunity with all of those neighborhoods, which we do have a number of neighborhood outreach. But we also make sure that downtown is a comfortable place for all of the entities to exist, both business, residential, educational, retail, which is business, as well as cultural. And so we get to play a lot. We have a lot of really opportunities in downtown. And we do that by, we have a physical contract to manage the city, to manage the downtown with the city. There was a special payment that the property owners in downtown proper, the core and channel district, pay in order to provide a higher level of services. And so in that district, we have the responsibility of providing a cleaner environment, a safer and more comfortable and hospitable environment. We do marketing, we do transportation coordination, we do beautification, planning, business development, beautification, I explained. So through that special service district, which is only one part of our operation, we are really providing management services in downtown. And we can leverage every single marketing and programming dollar that we have to expand the efforts and the impact of the cultural institutions, which are concentrated in the downtown area. It's an opportunity that we all share. And so our organization does have a private membership, which is how we are supported for advocacy purposes. But we have two different client bases. We have every single person who uses downtown, because of our management responsibilities, is a client of ours. Every single person who comes downtown is to experience a higher level. They're supposed to know about it more than they would other places before they get there, but they're supposed to really feel more comfortable, and I want to know about it if that is never the case. But we also, we have the opportunity to work with all our cultural partners. We can do an awful lot in marketing methods with electronically and social media. We get to host events, we get to plan events, we get to fund events. It's really, I have really one of the luckiest jobs among my beneficially codependent partners here. It's very beneficial, though. It's very beneficial. So I don't ever have time enough to talk about it, but I look forward to any other discussions or questions that we have. Again, we are a predecessor of another organization, governmentally based, that has really always made sure that downtown Tampa had a place in both the cultural and the historical ethos of our area. So thank you.
All right, cleanup hitter, right? My name's Kelly Miller with Tampa Bay & Company. And Councilwoman Capeen, thank you for this invitation. When I first moved to town in January, I turned the radio on, and there was Councilwoman Capeen going back and forth with the mayor of Miami, talking about why we should be having the headquarters for the Cuban sandwich. And I remember you talking about why salami should be on there, right? Because we had Italians way before Miami. So let me just tell you what Tampa Bay and Company is, what it isn't, and then maybe just I heard some great comments up here. But we are the official tourism entity for Hillsborough County. We get a certain percentage of the room tax. People come in here, they check into a hotel or another place that pays room tax. We take that money. It's about a little over $8 million, and we try and leverage that. And at the end of the day, we are successful when we can accomplish one basic thing. We try and get more people to come here, to stay longer, to spend more money, to return more often, and tell more people. That's a pretty simple mission at the end of the day. And we do that through a variety of sales and marketing initiatives like many of you do in your own attractions or your own businesses. We have a sales team out there booking conventions. We service those conventions. We have a very proactive, I'm sorry. You bet. We have a very proactive marketing department. Got it. We're in an international that's already been discussed. We're in motor coach. We're in AAA. We're in cruise. We're trying to tell a more compelling story. Because you know what? A lot of destinations have a lot of those things or go after those markets. But if we don't connect emotionally with those potential visitors, and I want to tell you what I talk about potential visitors. I pulled this up before I came here. 4.3 million visitors to the Tampa Bay area participated in historical or cultural activities in 2011. That was up 5.6%, or 420,000 people from 2010. And we know our average length of stay is a little less than 3, and we know that they spend $160-some a pop. So do the math. You know, cultural, heritage, focused visitors make economic sense, plain and simple. And it also differentiates us from a variety of destinations. I will tell you, I still get chills sitting there listening to Dr. Freddie Pachenko talking about the reader and visioning walking those streets and seeing people 100 years ago, the mother with her kids getting educated and listening to the English language while the reader read Dickens and those things. I mean, is that a story that should be told in Hollywood or what? But I tell you, it's a story that if I was a visitor from our key markets, I would want to go to Tampa. I would want to walk these streets. I'd want to go to these clubs like this and say, boy, this is where these people came on a Sunday, dressed in their finest. Regardless of the controversies they might have had back in the old countries, they got together well here. And that is an incredible story. Let me just finish with just a couple things. I agree with the mayor and I agree with the councilman. And I said when I first came here that, maybe we're sitting on a Cuban sandwich starving to death. I don't know if it's that bad here, but there's so many rich stories here that people need to hear. And you may not know this, but many of us at this table worked hard on the RNC in a collaborative effort. We had 15 organizations together. We had a social media command center over in the Channel District. We had media come here. We sent the mayor to New York and to D.C. to tell those stories. We brought in meeting planners here. We brought in more media here. And I think that that's part of the engines that we talk about. I mean, we can do a lot of that, but we can't be as effective as we need to be without hearing what's unique about you. Because I'll tell you, at the end of the day, we've got to tell those rich stories. We always tell ourselves, why Tampa Bay and why today? Because visitors as well as business people need to know that. I lived in Atlanta, and I'll just stop with this. In 1990, when I first moved there, there was a lot of great cultural assets, but there wasn't an initiative. Out of that came the cultural initiative that the Bureau ran there. Bell South came on board, Coca-Cola came on board, Power Company came on board, and out of that was a $300,000 or $400,000 initiative that drove into the hearts and minds of people that cultural heritage matters, and we can deliver on that without question. The last thing I'll say is, if we do our jobs effectively, we'll get more business people showing up here, and I will tell you one thing. They'll come as a visitor first, and if we do, look, we all have this passion in our minds and in our eyes about this area. We get them to come and visit, I guarantee you they'll come back to look at opening a business. Thank you very much.
Okay, we are right on time. Just had another aspect I wanted to remind you about. After the roundtable discussions, when we wrap up, Rick Duran from Centro Asturiano will be available to give tours of this beautiful building. So if there's anyone interested in getting a tour, see Rick after we're all finished. Now it's time for our Q&A session. The microphone is here in the audience. If you have a question you'd like to ask, step up to the microphone. We'll have one of the panel members come up here and whoever's best suited will answer the question. Remember, it's Q&A session, not a speech session. Please step up and have a question to ask.
This is a quick question for everybody, and I'm not trying to embarrass you. I was thrilled with what you've said. I think we're going in the right direction.
And you are?
Linda Salsena, cheerleader for the arts. And I think that I'm thrilled to see so many organizations that represent business recognizing that arts are business. But real quick, do you have any original local art in your lobby or in your offices? Just quick yes or no.
Show of hands.
Great.
Who's got local art in their office?
Historical photos.
We have local photography.
Yeah, we have local photography. That's art.
Yeah, I was going to say we've got some local artists in the office. I mean, in the audience. That's great, and the historical photos are wonderful. But you might think about also refreshing, since you're refreshing your websites, refreshing with new art by local artists, because we've got really talented people here. Thank you. I'm really happy to hear that.
Okay.
Harrison.
Your name, sir?
I'm Michael Kilgore. I'm with the Strass Center for the Arts. I know that Tampa Bay & Company is going through a rebranding process. The Tampa Bay Regional Partnership is going through a rebranding process. I guess I'm wondering, as all of us are going through those similar things, how are we working together to have a synergy to make sure we have a unified message and to make sure that we're stronger and better together?
I'll jump in. We actually are in the research phase right now. We have a series of interviews being set up, and I'd say all the organizations at this table are part of that intel, because building a destination brand is one thing, but unless we understand the back end on the business side as well, and to interview these people, then I don't think we can build a truly successful brand that will resonate across a variety of platforms. Good question.
My name is Anthony Carreño. I'm a volunteer at the Ybor City Museum Society. My family roots go back in Tampa to 1898, third generation. I'm going to have a brief comment and then maybe a quick question. I like to look at analogies, and I don't know how many of you are familiar with what they call the Guggenheim phenomenon, where the Guggenheim Museum in Bilbao, Spain, completely transformed that city into what was a pretty gritty old industrial city into a very much a cutting-edge city. I would recommend you look at that, study that. I think we can get some good ideas from that. The analogies between Tampa and Bilbao are just phenomenal. My family roots are northern Spain. I visited Bilbao frequently, and it's an old port city. It was the Pittsburgh of Spain. The Renaissance has just been phenomenal. I think we might learn something from studying what they did. And chatting with people there, they made the comment that it was really nothing more than identity. People didn't even know where Bilbao was, had never heard of it, and that one museum, if you will, has transformed it phenomenally. Question, and let me preface that by saying I'm going to sort of poke a stick at the 800-pound gorilla in the room, if you don't mind. Cuba, and I'd like to direct that specifically to Mr. Thorington. It's my understanding that the Port of Jacksonville, the Port of Mobile, has been very proactive in establishing a relationship with Cuba in anticipation of the inevitable normalization of relations with Cuba. Our cultural roots go extremely deep with Cuba. Cuba's very anxious to do business with Tampa, and I guess I would expand this collectively. What are we doing along that? I'd like to see Tampa be the leader and not the follower, and let's get with that. I think there's a lot of potential there for us.
Very good question. And you're exactly right. This area has a tremendous history with Cuba, and it was a big part of the port. We had 12 cargo ships a month sailing between Tampa and various Cuban ports in the 1950s, and 2 passenger ferries a week that went Tampa, Key West, Havana. Havana is only 307 nautical miles due south of Tampa. And we think there'll be some profound opportunities on the cargo side and also on the passenger side when that opportunity is there. And we're fully prepared for it and are preparing for it. Currently, the only things that can be shipped basically to Cuba at this time are food and medicine. Much of that food comes out of the Midwest and comes down the Mississippi River and goes to ports in the northern Gulf. We're just not positioned for that. Very little of the cargo that's moving to Cuba now is originating in Florida. There are some shipments of animal feed supplements, phosphate based animal feed supplements. Some of that, we've had a number of shipments through Tampa, but until the trading panorama is open more widely, those opportunities are pretty limited. But we're fully committed to that, to any legal trade that's currently there. But more importantly, the bigger picture down the road, when full trading opportunities are there, that's when I think there'll be some really significant opportunities. But last November, the Port Authority hosted a major Cuba trade forum to talk about these issues, kind of where it stands now and what some of the future opportunities were. We had some experts in that field that spoke on it. It was a very good forum, so we're very involved in that issue. Thank you for asking the question.
Absolutely. As a quick follow-up, it's my understanding, though, that Jacksonville and Mobile specifically have been sending official delegations there. Is that rumor? Is that true? And you know, historically, it's interesting. A lot of people don't know that pretty much the cigar industry was going to go to Mobile before they made really a last-minute decision to come to Tampa. So the port is very much instrumental in why we're here, why this building is here. And I'd like to see the port be instrumental in giving Tampa a new vision there. But can you shed some light on that? Are we behind the curve? Because maybe Cuba's a little bit of a political hot potato here?
I think we're very much prepared and very well positioned for Cuba when it opens. I think we're in a very good position there. But you know, your point is very well taken. That the opportunities there will be significant when that market is fully opened, and we're very much looking forward to that and doing a lot of doing the proper planning and making sure the facilities and so forth are ready at that time. But I appreciate you asking about it.
Thank you.
I'd like to speak to Cuba. Sure, just a bit, sure. In my brief comments, I mentioned 10 international destinations, 3 of which are new in the last year, 2 of which are Cuba, in Havana and Holguin. That window has relaxed slightly in the ability to connect with nonstop air service again, Tampa International Airport has become the 2nd largest gateway to Cuba in the entire United States, only behind South Florida.
So the loads are good on those markets?
Those are doing extremely well. In fact, the chartered providers are scrambling to try to increase their capacity to offer more seats. That's where we're running into resistance there. But should things continue to relax, we're well prepared, especially at the airport, to take advantage.
I'm Art Keeble, and the purpose of this committee is to help you do your jobs better. And I want to reference something that Justin said, which I think is the most honest comment I've heard today. I don't know what I need to tell people. You have to tell me. And that's why we are here. So we have lots of information for you. We want to help you promote Tampa, and we want to make sure that the cultural assets are included in your work. I know Kelly's doing that, Barbara does that, Justin's doing it, and we hope all of you will.
That is so important, because what may seem obvious or maybe not as significant to you is actually a huge motivator for somebody to decide to visit the destination. So to your point, just getting that information to all of us, and we have ways to push that information out. We got millions of people that go to our website, and just having those stories, well, our PR team, that's exactly what we are repositioning ourselves to do, to go to those our key out-of-market destinations, New York, Philly, Chicago, Boston, Atlanta, DC, those 6. That's what they want to hear. They want to hear authentic news. You can go stand in line anywhere with big box stuff over in Orlando. We're different here, and we need to tell that story in a better way.
One of the roles that I play on the committee is representing our neighborhoods and our smaller assets within our neighborhoods. We sent out invitations to many of those assets, but they are smaller arts and cultural activities that could not, many of them, take the time off from their day jobs or from their businesses to be here today. But although we're going to talk about this more in our second half, I wanted to take this opportunity to remind our panelists that those smaller groups and smaller activities many times get overlooked because people are doing things as that's their second activity. They're in their daytime activity, daytime jobs. And for instance, the Cumbia Dancers that's been around, which is an African-American dance group for a long time, couldn't be here because they are in their jobs. So we have things like the barbecue store, which has been around for quite a while. But again, they're serving their clients, and it's difficult to take off times coming here. We have things like the Buffalo Soldiers, who were the African-American soldiers that fought in the war, and we have their plaque right down the street in my community of Tampa Heights. So I wanted to put that forward and also remind you that as you do the marketing for the bigger activities, that some of these smaller assets really need a little hand and a little support and a little guidance in getting themselves connected with the bigger efforts that you're doing as marketing. So I just wanted to take this opportunity to share that.
So if you are representing a smaller cultural asset, what can we do to connect? What can those smaller cultural assets do to connect with your groups? What would you recommend? Anybody?
Oh, actually, yeah, I can address that.
I think Betty wants to talk too.
Do you want to go first?
One of the activities that the Tampa Bay Partnership is involved with is a community pride campaign called Tampa Bay Shines, and there's a website that is really intended to highlight all of the different assets around the 8-county region, and it's an opportunity for not only elevating those things that we do know, but also calling attention to those things that other people in the community may not know. And so I welcome you to visit the website, to submit your thoughts and ideas, and help that to grow into a real community asset for us, to help build broader awareness for some of these smaller assets that are just as important as the big ones.
And then I would just add to that, you know, when we talk about quality of life, when we're marketing the community, we really are looking at two things. We do tout the big institutions because in many ways we want to make sure people understand that we are just as big and just as viable as any community. And so we talk about the Straz and we talk about the Forum and you know, MOSI and the big museums. But when you live in a community and you have the opportunity to spend every weekend here, it's really great to talk about the discoveries, and that's a completely different message point that we have, that you don't run out of things to do in Tampa after 4 or 5 days, that you can live here for years and years and you will discover something new every time you open up a paper or you drive into a neighborhood that you've maybe never spent time in before. So from our perspective, we really want to showcase those things because that's what really adds to the fabric or the flavor, as Bob said, of our community. When we're talking about neighborhoods, which our new website features a very detailed neighborhood section, we want to be able to highlight those assets within the smaller neighborhood areas. I would actually ask, and I do this of anyone that I meet with, take my email address, and please, if you have press releases, if you have updates on something that's going on in your neighborhood or within your cultural asset, your museum, whatever it may be, send us that information. We'll keep it on file. We'll include it on the website. We'll push it out via social media because all of those little nuggets of information just make us so much more rich as a destination, a place to live or a place to visit.
Hi, I'm Marion Winters. I'm Executive Director of VSA Florida. It's a state organization on arts and disabilities. And I just want to encourage everyone as they're redoing their websites and their collateral material for the businesses as well as the arts organizations to make sure you include people with disabilities in your pictures, in your stories, and VSA Florida can help you get those pictures for the cultural organizations.
All right, thank you very much.
Hi, Michael Kilgore, Straz Center. I just wanted to mention another way we could work together. We all have our own websites. I would suggest we provide links so we can cross-promote. It's very easy to do. It's free. So we should probably have a gathering way to do that. And each website should have links to all the other organizations.
Okay. Yes. Do we have someone else with a question? Okay, come on up.
Hi, my name is Victor Padilla and Jolie Gonzalez, my wife. I want to thank Yoli Campin for inviting us here today. I just wanted to address, we were the creators, and we also, with the help of several others, the Tampa City Council, Yoli Campin, and YCDC, put on the Cuban Sandwich Festival earlier this year, May 26th, if you remember. What we would like to add is I'm a native here, and being here alone just brings back memories of when I was a child coming here for weddings and get-togethers. But, you know, I agree with most of the panel that, you know, this is a very rich and cultural place to be. And during the Cuban Sandwich Festival, one thing that I did notice was the amount of different variety of people that did come to the festival. And we would like to, as we were recognized as it being a cultural asset to the city of Tampa, what tools the organizations can provide to make this a more successful event, to bring more tourism, and to help us to help Tampa.
Yeah, I think that would apply to anyone who's putting on some type of festival. How can they solicit help from you guys to strengthen their events that are already doing well?
Each of the, well, a number of the major neighborhood areas, at least Ybor and downtown, have programs that you can, in some cases, based on some certain criteria, you can apply for grants to support a new event or to support ongoing. And any one of our organizations have a way, have a newsletter, have a, you know, in our neighborhood type of thing, and I bet, you know, more than half of us could post it and promote it to ears that would never otherwise hear it. Right. So we are always glad to help promote events. We have our own, you know, downtown that the marketing money pays for, but then we'll also, you know, do an in the neighborhood push for certain events that reinforce all the things that all of our organizations want to do.
And I also wanted to add that we also have a magazine called Latin Times. It is Latin Times. These times are for the Latin people, and also that we also are getting ready to go national. In that sense, in the magazine, we're also want to attract as a tool more tourism to Tampa. So that being said, you know, we would like to do whatever we can as well to work with your organizations to help bring more tourism here.
I got three things that we would love to have, at least from Tampa Bay and Company's perspective, and I'm sure maybe for everybody else too. Rich media, rich media, rich media. I see Diane from 83 Degrees here. It's about people coming, going to that festival and posting on Facebook right away. So any video, anything like that that we can retweet, repost, that is absolutely huge for us. Also, we look at editorial calendars. When Southern Living wants to do something in April or May, we get those calendars early. So we need to know about your festivals early so we can go out on the road and we can pitch those stories. The third thing I'd say is just great photography with people in it. You know, how many times have we picked up, you know, here's a picture of a hotel and there's no people in the ballroom. That doesn't work. We need photos with people enjoying this destination. That would work for us anyway.
Sure.
What Kelly was just saying, I cannot stress enough how important it is for us to have images. That is one of the hardest things, and we have a beautiful city. I mean, it's gorgeous, and you drive around, and there are so many things that you want to showcase. But let's face it, professional photography is expensive. And when we're putting together these marketing materials, and we want to show these incredible places and attractions and landscapes, that's one of our big challenges. So if you within your organization, if you have images, if you've had photography taken, if you just know somebody who's a great photographer and they would like to donate out of the kindness of their heart and their love of the community, then anything you have available, we will take and we will utilize to the best extent possible. And Kelly's right, having people in it, you'd be amazed at how hard it is when we have such a diverse community to find images that really showcase that diversity.
So yeah, I think that's an important point, is to have candid photos of the people having a good time. Even the best organizations, sometimes, I know being in the newspaper business, they have a photo of all the volunteers standing together at the end of the event. Well, that's very nice. But we want the candid, fun photos that reflect how much fun people had at the events. Those are the ones that I think would really help. Yes, you are?
Ernest, I'm Tom Keating. I'm president of Ybor City Chamber, and I want to welcome you all here to Ybor City. And I have a strategic partnership, I guess, with about everybody at the front table. We know how to reach out, and we consider ourselves here the cultural core of the region. And we consider ourselves the heart and soul of Tampa. And I'm glad to see you all here. We got a lot of people who are with smaller activities here in the Ybor City. We're very entrepreneurial, so our arts community is always doing new things here, and it's very exciting what they're doing at the community college here. They have the performing program here. And I just wanted to welcome you all here and say we're actually working on a new event, which is reforming our Guavaween, which has quite a reputation, into a music festival. We see ourselves competing to create a music festival that will be growing larger and larger and be like some of the other well-known music festivals in the country. But take a look at the website and see the bands and the talent that we have. And we're going to give St. Petersburg a challenge for a live music destination. They may got an edge on us in art, but we're gonna take music back. So I just want to say thank you.
All right. Okay, we have time for a couple of more questions before we go to the round table. Yes?
Yes, good afternoon. I'm Andrew McIntosh with Fowler White. I also am pleased to be a member of the committee. What we've heard on numerous occasions is give us photos, give us images, give us something that we can use in our marketing. And one of the things that we've talked about at the committee level is the possibility of perhaps having some kind of central repository for the stories, for the information, for the photos. And that might also add to consistency in the branding and the messaging that is offered by each of the stakeholders. And I don't know if that is something that is in the works right now or is something that is being employed. But there was reference to Tampa Bay Shines, and perhaps thought could be given to setting that up so that we're consistent and we're all telling the same story and being able to carry the ball all together. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Yeah.
I'm sorry that I'm not 100% clear on. Is not some of the outcomes of your committee's work to suggest and help establish and work with people who you think might best be appointed to help solve those kind of issues? But you should tell us what to do and how.
We intend to, exactly.
You've solicited advice, if you will, and I guess if there's one thing I'd like to say is look for the unique. When people travel now, that's what they want. I worked for a major airline for 30 years. I'm able to travel extensively internationally and domestically, and without fail, the destinations are those that have something unique to offer. Not to belabor the point about Bilbao, but that Guggenheim Museum was so controversial. The city leaders, the community was ready to kill each other. They went with the avant-garde. They pushed the envelope, and it has paid off immeasurably. And I think if there's one thing I'd like to see Tampa do differently is not be scared to experiment. Take a risk. If something's controversial, I think that's good. I think that's good. If there's no controversy, I beg your pardon? What's that? I didn't hear you.
I said that's because you don't have to run for office.
You're absolutely right, and I never will. But please look at the Guggenheim and Bilbao experience. I mean, people are now calling it, as I said before, the Guggenheim phenomenon. That's what people in cities around the world are studying. Push the envelope. Don't be scared of the avant-garde. If you're not different, people are not going to bother. The world is becoming homogenized. I just got back from Barcelona, lovely city, Burger King, Kentucky Fried Chicken. Even there, you're starting to have to look for the unique. Tampa has the uniqueness. We still live in the shadow of Miami and Orlando. No one's heard of us. That's part of the problem. Sometimes it's simply the folks in Bilbao said it really was nothing more than getting people to know who we were. And the analogies between the two cities are phenomenal. Size-wise, what drove it, and they have completely reinvented themselves without forgetting their past. So please look at that, and please don't be scared, all of us in the room. Go with the risky. Okay. It pays off.
I'm going to go up to the mic.
You have a question?
No, I have
Can you tell me to shut up?
No. Of course, I'm on the committee also. And really, it's interesting that you would bring up Bilbao. I traveled to Bilbao in 1971. The river was black. The river was black. The buildings were black with soot. I remember it very well. I've also been back to Bilbao 2 or 3 times to the Guggenheim. It completely transformed a city. And when he says it was the Pittsburgh of Spain, absolutely. Absolutely. The one thing I will tell you, I got there at 1 o'clock in the morning. My husband is from Spain, and we travel there often. We arrived at 1 o'clock in the morning with his cousin who's in the construction business and had business there. And I had fallen asleep. And when I woke up, we were parked. And I looked at the building, and it looked like a building from Ybor City. The bricks of the building. The lamps were the same. The octagon-shaped sidewalk was there. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. But it was all covered in soot. So it's absolutely the truth. It totally transformed. It was very controversial, but today you can see the Guggenheim Museum and Gehry, the architect. You see it in Los Angeles, the same, that titanium that was used. When you go to the Guggenheim, it looks like a sailing ship. The museum itself is a work of art. It was very, very controversial. Now, the other thing, when you were talking about uniqueness, I want you to know, when we brought forth the Cuban sandwich, because it was original and unique, next month in November's issue of National Geographic Travel will be an article about Tampa's Cuban sandwich. Not one PR, other than the media did pick up on it, but no one else picked up on this. And it was really brought forth to try to brand that culinary uniqueness that we have, and that's just the beginning of what we have here. Tampa has always been known for its culinary greatness, and that is another part of what we have here. I'm going to leave you with that, but when you brought up Bilbao, it just brought back all those memories, and I wanted to share that with everyone here. And you know, in Tampa, I will tell you, I am 4th generation. Back in the 40s, it was suggested to build an international airport at Drew Field. The mayor then nixed it. It took us 30 years to come to the international airport. We can study things in Tampa until Miami was a podunk town, and you can see where the airport is in Miami. That was the outskirts, and they put that airport. We here, and I can see when they said no one knows about Tampa, I refer to Tampa as a sleeper, and we're about to wake up. And that is what drove me to bring this forth. I was raised here, have roots that go back to the late 1800s here. My daughter lives here. My new grandson, who's 7 months old, and most people have seen me bring up to the dais, is here. So I just want to share that with you all. And I really want to tell you, I really appreciate you all coming here, sharing this information with us. And now I guess we'll go ahead and move on to the next.
Yeah, very good, Councilwoman. It's time for the roundtable discussions.